What's going on? My name is Kofuzi and I'm a non-elite runner who reviews running shoes here on YouTube. And as of December 31st, 2025, I had 230,886 subscribers. And today I want to talk to you about what YouTube pays a 230,000 subscriber channel. Let's jump right into it. This is my YouTube studio. This is where I normally keep track of mainly comments that are coming in and who I need to respond to, but it also shows me different analytics. And what we'll do is we'll jump right into the analytics section and switch the view to 2025. So we're looking at everything from 2025. It's currently January 17th, so all the data should be pretty stabilized by now. In 2025, I had 10.1 million views, 759,000 watch hours, which is an astounding figure in my mind. I gained 24.9 thousand subscribers and the total estimated revenue was $50,726.89. So for those of you who are just here for the number, you can click away now. But what I want to do with the rest of my time here today is go over a little bit of a recap over which videos were most successful for me in the year. And then I'm also going to leave YouTube Studio and show you a different way that I've been looking at my data in terms of a year over year, this kind of like annual review, so I can show you how I'm starting to make some decisions in terms of what kind of content I'm going to make. So let's stay on this overview for the entire year of 2025 in YouTube Studio. And the most successful video that I had was the Adidas Evo SL after 100 miles. I had 329,000 views, which is a really big number for me. Asics Noble Last 5 after 100 miles was also really successful with 188,000 views. And that's surprising that the 100-mile update videos are the top two for 2025. Typically, it feels like people just don't care as much about the 100-mile review video. People really only care about the initial review video, or at least it seems like that to me. But for these two shoes, I think because they're so soft and squishy, which is the kind of shoe that I really like a lot, because they're so soft and squishy, I think people are kind of like waiting to see if the shoes are going to die out really quickly or not. And I think maybe that's part of the interest. These are also two of the most popular shoes of 2025 from the running world community perspective, so it makes sense. Mega Blast, which is one of my favorite shoes from last year, is another one which came in at 181,000 views. And something to keep in mind as we're looking at all this data is that we're looking at just the views that came in 2025. So videos that came out earlier in the year had a little bit more time to get views than those that came out later in the year. For example, the Adidas Evo SL video came out in April, the Mega Blast came out in August, so that's like 4 additional more months to collect views. But I feel like at some point we have to do some arbitrary cutoffs, so I just figured out views that came in from 2025 and money that came in 2025 kind of makes sense. I did a Nike running kind of survey video and that did really well, even though that was a sponsored video. I work with a brand partner, not a running shoe brand, but a different brand partner for that. And that did really well, coming in at 125,000 views, which is like a lot more, many times more than typically comes in when I do a sponsored video. But that one did really well. Mainly because I don't usually review a lot of Nike stuff. And then rounding up the top 10, 1080 14, which is typically a very well watched video year over year. Rebel version 5, which is one of my favorite shoes for the year, came in at 117. Evo SL, the first one, came in at 110, which means that like between the two Evo SL videos that I did, that is like almost 500,000 views. Now, the thing to look at for this one is that this video was published in November of 2024. And so I believe that this 110 figure here is not looking at all the views, but it's looking at the views that came in for that November 2024 video in the 2025 timeframe. So for that video to have that many views after kind of the initial month or two is very surprising for me. My shoe of the year video last year, also a 2024 video, came in at 107,000 views. Nimbus 27, which is a shoe that is typically not like at the top of my lists of favorites, but it's a shoe that I think is so popular worldwide that usually year over year does really well, and last year was no exception. That also came out in February of 2025, so it had the most time to collect views. And then the Adizero Pro 4, the only race shoe on this list, I think, with 98,000 views. Again, another October 2024 video. So those are the top 10 in terms of videos. Let's take a look. Let's keep moving along. We can look at content. I'll go through these kind of quickly because they start to get a little bit repetitive. So some of the ones that I thought were interesting are this one, because in the content, they are looking at the key moments for audience retention. And audience retention is probably a statistic that I should look at a little bit more closely in terms of how to make more engaging and content that people don't want to click away from after the first couple of seconds. And so the fact that my experiment, I did an editorial style of video, does Solomon have a fashion problem, which took an idea that I thought would be something you might read in a magazine, and I put it into like a video essay. That one at least had good retention. Overall, we'll go look at the performance of that one a little bit more closely later on, but that one did really well in terms of retention. My Valencia Marathon race video did really well too. Another one, a recent upload, which is another sponsored video, how I get the hardest to get race bibs. It's one I did with a tour operator. That one also had pretty good retention as well. Chicago Marathon, a race coverage video. I didn't run the Chicago Marathon, but I followed around the athletes as they were running the course. And then 48 hours with Adidas at the running event also did pretty well. Below typical intros are all shoe videos. And that would be Asics Mega Blast after 100 miles. So the retention isn't that good, but the total views are really high. So I'm not really sure how that's all working. How viewers are finding my videos and top videos of 2025. That's pretty much the same list that we've already seen, but most people are finding me by browse. YouTube search is still also a gigantic way that people find me. This is a product review channel primarily, by the most part, by a large extent. And so like YouTube search is gonna be pretty important. Let's go to audience. As far as audience goes, most people, almost half of the people that are watching are new viewers. And that's, I think, an important thing for me to realize, because I always feel like I'm kind of talking to this same small group of running nerds over and over again, which is kind of the point of view and like the level of shoe talk that I try to direct the channel towards. And so I don't always gear the conversations towards new viewers, people that haven't met me before. Now, people that haven't met me before very well could be shoe nerds. And so a lot of times I tend to conflate new viewers with new runners, which doesn't always have to be the case. But I do think for a large part, a lot of these new viewers are probably new runners, because otherwise you would have found me. I've been making this exact type of video for the last 5 or 6 years, and I've been making running shoe content for a very long time. So 30% are casual viewers and only 25% are regular viewers, but that kind of makes sense that 25% will be regular viewers. I have always thought that in terms of like tribe, kind of circles of tribe size, you got your absolute core followers, people that are gonna watch anything and everything that you make, and then people that are watch things that are interesting to them, and then people that have no idea who you are, don't care who you are, but might watch the video if you make something that is in their realm of interest. So I feel like that's kind of lines up well with the new casual and regular viewers. Shoes that are popular with different audiences. Let's go with casual. So we got like a regular audience kind of likes the same thing that the new audience likes, which is very similar to the stuff that the casual audience likes. So, I mean, I'm making these are all running shoe review videos. So the regular to the new viewers all want shoe review content, even though I make more types of video than just shoe reviews. Videos that grew my audience in the last 90 days. That's weird because I still have this set to 2025, but pretty much nothing that I made in the last 90 days is growing my audience, but 2025 was an anti-growth year intentionally for me. And here's some channels that my audience watches. Believe in the Run. These are all friends of mine, people that I've met all of them. I've met all of them in person except for Ed Bud, although I've known Ed Bud for many years now. But these are all friends and colleagues, and it makes sense that this is who people are also watching. Oh, here's something that I think is interesting for me. The device type. for my shoe review videos, I intend and expect that people are watching those on their phones, but I also make longer form content, whether it's training series or travel videos, and I'm hoping that people are watching those either on a TV or on like a big tablet when they're on the treadmill. And so the device type that people are watching from is still 40% mobile phone, but 26% of my views are on a TV, which I feel like hopefully a lot of that is coming from the longer form, even longer. All my YouTube videos are long form, but even longer form, less product review oriented content. As far as gender, this has pretty much been the same since the beginning of when I've been making YouTube videos. 92.5% is male and 7.5% is female. I think in reality, it's probably not quite as harsh as that in terms of the views on YouTube. But I also think that that's probably not terrible. It's not like it's 50-50, and there are some other externalities happening that are masking that number, but I don't think it's quite 92 and 7. So, but it's probably not that far off, at least in terms of people that are experiencing my content on YouTube. And then from the age demographics, it's the age of marathon runners, because that's the primary demographic I'm targeting is marathon runners. People that are in their 25 to 34 year olds are my biggest demo. 35 to 44 is the second biggest. And I'm now in that 45 to 54 year old demographic. And we come in third, 15.5%. Top geographies, let's go to the videos. I do make some shorts, but it's usually like reposted content. I don't think I ever make shorts specifically for YouTube. But for my videos, 32% is from the United States, 7.5% from my friends in the Philippines, 6% in the UK, 4.9% in Australia this year, nice, and then 4.9% in Canada, which is a little bit of a drop, I think, from year over year. All right, let's get to the revenue. I've already told you the big number. And let's see what's interesting on this page. That Evo SL video did really well. $2,360 is a lot of money for a shoe review video, a follow-up shoe review video. And then we also had Mega Blast, Nike running, Asics Nova Blast, and the City Marathon, which that was a travel video, made me $804, which is a lot for like a vlog style video or like a race week kind of video, but it's less than the amount of flight tickets. So an expensive way to make $800. And the way that I make money is by watch page ads. Shorts feeds ads made me a whopping $261 over the course of the year. Yeah, but that's not something that I normally take a big look at. Now let's switch over and take a different look at the data. I'll show you what I've done in some spreadsheets in terms of how I can now take a look at the data that I've collected from 2025 and project for what I should be doing in 2026. So I put together a spreadsheet, and in YouTube, you can export some of your data. It's not a full export. It's not as robust as I'd love it to be, but it can give me a lot of interesting things for today. So here's the total export. So every video that I made in 2025, including some shorts that are in here, and you could tell which one of the shorts if I go to this duration column, like this one that's 16 seconds long, a marathon recovery short, which was a fun little thing to do. And I have two videos called Marathon Valencia 2025. One is the longer form race video, and one is the shorter one at 61 seconds. So like those are the kinds of shorts that I make. Other times I will do shorts from like a first run in a brand new shoe. But let's take those out and let's focus on the long form videos that I made, and I've color coded them by like video type. So the white ones, or the clear uncolored ones, are regular shoe review videos, and then I have different colors for different types of videos. I'm a little bit colorblind, so I can't recite to you what these colors are, but I do know that they are different. But let's go to the bottom, and the thing that I can see by my count is that total long form videos that I made in 2025 was 103 videos. The average views was 45,474, but remember I had some videos like the Evo SL video or the Mega Blast video that do a lot more than 45. So the median is going to be 33,502. average watch time is 4,900 hours of watch time for a video. Average revenue is $331. So there's quite a different bit of range in terms of how much a video makes me. But typically, if I make a long form video, or when I did it in 2025, I made $331. And then my median revenue, because again, some are making me more money than others, and there's a lot that goes into that, more than just views. The median revenue is $261.16. But let's like drill down even a little bit further and use some of these color codes. So then if we focus just on product review videos, it still includes all the shoes, but also like this watch video, Coros Pace 4 versus like 6 other watches. Then the average views number does change. It moves up significantly to 52,869 average views. The minimum views was 8,000 and the max views was 329. That was at Evo SL after 100. And the median views is 40,744. And so here's where I can start doing some decision making. So if I look at this minimum views of 8,527 and look at what shoe was that? That was the Diadora Frequenza 2. It's a shoe that I think nobody ran in except for me in 2025, but I did really like it. And I talked about it not only in this video, but in my best of 2025 video. Still, this video is not getting that many views, even though it came out in June. So I had plenty of time to rack up views. And I generally find like the first month is when most of the views come in for most videos. So that one was really low, but then that made me think, all right, well, what was up with that one? I know Diadora is not the most popular brand, but then I can look at some of the other videos that I've made about Diadora shoes, and I made a few last year. That Diadora Gara Carbon 2, their race shoe, which I thought was actually really good. This one only got 11,000 views, so like 1/5 of like the average, or like a quarter of the median. Yeah, maybe a third, a quarter of the median amount of views that I got for a review video. So let's do one more. Diadora Nucleo 2, the daily trainer, 12,000 views. So clearly you guys, the internet is sending me a message that you just are not interested in Diadora shoes. Another one that I looked at that did particularly bad was the Under Armour Infinite Elite 2 after 100 miles. I thought this was a fantastic shoe. Talked about it both as a regular review, a 100-mile update, and in my best of 2025. For the 100-mile review, that only got 11,000 views. So the Under Armour Sonic, which is the daily trainer, 20,000 views, not as bad, but still only half of what a review video typically brings. The underrated shoe of the year I named as the Under Armour Infinite Elite 2. I probably did that a little bit prematurely. That was back in March of 2025. But that one did come in at 27,000 views. So that wasn't terrible. But overall, it tells me that like you guys just, almost no matter what I say about an Under Armour shoe or how I entice people to try and watch it, most people probably aren't watching it. The regular reviewers are probably watching that one. People that are interested in just knowing about running shoes, whether they plan to buy them or not, those are the people watching. But everyone else, they're not really caring about Under Armour shoes. So that tells me a lot about what you guys do or don't want to see more of. As far as watch time goes, the average watch time was 5,000 hours per video. Minimum was 660, max was 33,000. Median watch time is 3,700 minutes, 3,700 hours of watch time. And then the revenue average was 346. So compared to all long form, 331 versus 346. So like 10% more compared to the overall average. If I'm making staying home in my house, in my basement, in the studio here, making a review video makes me on average more than if I consider all the types of videos that I make. All right, let's take a look at Runner's Weekend. So one of the things that I like to do is when I travel for a race or travel to an event, I like to make a vlog style video for that. These are all this color that I highlighted in the master list, in the main list. I made 13 of those. I did a lot of travel last year. And the average views is 30,000, median is 25,000. So compared to the median for a review, which is 40,000. Runners Weekends do not that great, but those are really long videos. They tend to be anywhere between like 30 and 50 minutes long. And so the average watch time hopefully is going to be higher. Let's see. Reviews average watch time, 5,000. And the average watch time for the Runners Weekend is 6,000. So 20% more watch time on average, which means the view duration is not that great. But overall, I'm getting a lot of views on travel that I want to do or I have to do for work, either way. And then the average revenue is $366. Median revenue, because there's quite a bit of variation depending on where I'm going, how interested people are in it. So $312. The median revenue for a review video is $255. So still quite a bit higher for me to make Runners Weekend videos. So I enjoy making them. I enjoy the travel that goes. I generally enjoy the travel. I think last year, like I've been saying for the last 3 years in a row, last year I think I traveled more than I probably should have. It was really tough on my workflow and also on personal family life. But 312 is not bad considering from those travel videos, I'm also be able to collect different types of content and footage that I can use in other kinds of videos, which we'll talk about. Training series are also a vlog type of video, but those are basically what I'm doing every day as I am getting ready for a race. And so I had a couple of different race buildups this year. I ran the half marathon in Houston at the beginning of the year. Then I trained for a fast 5K. Then I did the Sydney Marathon and then the Valencia Marathon. And so I did training series videos getting ready for that. Total 12 videos, average 23,000 views, which doesn't feel like a lot, but again, those are also really long. And those are probably should be considered in the same way as the Runners Weekend. But the main distinction with these is like, I don't have to go anywhere or do any special additional travel. Again, these are like videos that I'm making and you're seeing my normal, regular, local routes as you're watching this. So I already have most of this content anyway because I'm videotaping myself run every day as I'm reviewing running shoes. And every once in a while, I'm just talking to the camera a little bit more. It does take a lot of time to put these together because I'm usually trying to condense about 4 weeks of training into a single video. So it's a lot of work, but I don't have to travel anywhere to get this work. So I like that about it. Average views is 23,000. Average watch time is 4,300 hours, which is a little bit low compared to if I just picked a shoe off the shelf in my studio here and reviewed it. But the median revenue is 243, which is not a lot. But again, I don't have to do any additional running or traveling for it. I just have to put in some more of my time for it. And I do enjoy making these, so that also factors in. That's a soft variable that factors into it as well. And I think as I get better at making them, maybe 4 weeks at a time is too much. But as I get better at making them, maybe I make them shorter, 20 minutes rather than 40 minutes. Maybe that will improve. But it's something that I'm at least getting some positive feedback that I should continue making these. Now, here are some race videos. So there's our travel videos that I make, there's training videos that I make, and then I make a video of like from the starting gun to crossing the finish line, those kinds of videos that I make. And those, I did 4 of those. That came down to a median view of 42,000 views, which is pretty good. Average watch time, 3,000 hours. When typically these videos are pretty short. They're a lot shorter than a shoe review video, so that they have 3,000 hours of watch time is pretty good. And they brought in a median revenue of $231 or an average revenue of $258. So again, decent for races that I want to run, things that I'm putting on my calendar because those are things that I want to do. It's nice that I'm able to be able to share those experiences with you and you guys are enjoying watching it. Now, I did some race coverage videos. So one of the things that I've been thinking about expanding into is I spend a lot of time filming my own running, and I'm thinking, what if I spend some time filming other people's running? And so I had 2 different experiences, which are very different, and average and median don't really, and there's not enough data because I only did 2 really. I kind of did more than that, but those got wrapped into either different runners weekend videos or something like that. So it's kind of hard to do this analysis. But I made one video about Chicago Marathon where I followed everyone from like getting onto the buses to go to the starting line, to the finish line, and then also capturing some of my friends that were running as part of the general public in the race too. So you got a whole wide spectrum of experiences from Chicago Marathon. That video did really well. I think it helps that there was an American record that day that I followed very closely. 78,000 views for that one, and an estimated revenue of $592. So that's pretty good for a day where I'm kind of running around the course and following athletes and being a spectator like how I want to. Thing about that is I also had 2 colleagues work with me on that one to help me get some extra footage from around the course. And that $592 does not even come close to covering the cost of those extra videographers, because I'm not going to ask people to do work with me for free. So that's a big loss on the day for filming that. But I guess at least I had some fun and there were friends we made along the way. I also went to Atlanta for the USATF Half Marathon, which is coming up pretty soon, to cover that Half Marathon Championships in 2025. I like to focus on the American pros. And so these USATF championships, whether it's half marathon, 10K, different distances that they run, that I've covered, I love to cover those races, but I went specifically to Atlanta, booked a flight, got a hotel, just so I could cover this race. And I had a pretty good time. I got media credentials. I got to do post-race interviews. I was in the media mix zone right after the race. And that was a lot of fun for me to do, but only 15,000 views on that one and estimated revenue of $62, which I don't think even covered my meal expenses for the time that I was down there, let alone time away from home, the flights, parking at the airport, and hotels, and other expenses. Plus I also had 2 other videographers working with me on that day as well. So a big loss that tells me that there isn't really an appetite for just regular race coverage. Also in that space, I'm competing with bigger like institutional competitors like FlowTrack or other media outlets that are covering things in different ways. Plus there's also like the actual official television broadcast for the race too. So like there's other ways to see those kinds of coverage. So for me, I'm deciding that based on this, I'm deciding that I'm probably not going to do a lot of race coverage. I was going to go to cover Houston Marathon and then also go back to Atlanta to cover the Half Marathon Championships again. Houston Marathon I didn't go to for a different reason, but I think I do have media credentials for Half Marathon again in Atlanta, but I don't think I'm going to go back again because you guys aren't interested in watching it. And if I wanted to go as a fan and just go watch, that's one thing, but to try and like justify it from a business perspective, like the demand isn't there yet from my audience. So I'll have to figure out a different way to kind of develop that. And maybe we'll try again in a different year, but I think for 2026, I'm going to de-emphasize pure race coverage. And the next category is one that I only did one of, but I've been doing a lot of these trips. Sometimes brands will invite you out to go cover the release of a new shoe. But while you're there, you get access to a lot of product people. You get to visit the headquarters. You get to see a little bit more of kind of like what they're thinking long-term vision wise. And so on those trips, I'm learning a lot of things that make me think about the brands in slightly different ways. And so what I'd like to start doing is still do the trip and make the trip video, but also like as it's appropriate, start doing other kind of, not investigations isn't the right word, but longer form editorial type of content. So like when I went to France with Solomon, they wanted to talk about the gravel shoes that they're making, which I made videos about that. But then I was also thinking, like, as I'm there, a big thing that came up was like the kind of growing tension, or is there tension between the fashion side of Salomon, with Gorpcore becoming like really popular, especially not only in Europe, but especially in like the East Coast of the United States, and like the hardcore like mountaineering and ski people that Salomon has as its core audience. And so like, how is the brand trying to navigate that? That's what I was talking about in that video. I thought that was fun to make, a little bit different, a bit of an experiment. And again, it's one of those things where I got to do some writing in terms of scripting, and I got to think about and share about the things that I normally think about as I'm going through my year, and put it into a video. It didn't do that well. Did a little bit shy of 30,000 views. I was thinking that it would come in over 100,000, because it had that potential to cross-pollinate against running shoe audiences and also fashion audiences. It didn't quite connect. So it did okay, but it ended up with $180 estimated revenue, which is all right, but it's another one I didn't have to do any additional travel or additional running for. I did have to do additional work though. I don't have enough data, so I'll probably still keep trying to do those in 2026, and we'll see at the end of 2026 how I think about that category of video. Now let's get to the summary. So we've been kind of doing this as we've been going by, but in terms of the different categories of videos, I feel like as I go forward, like the benchmark for me in terms of whether I should keep doing a certain type of video is, one, do I like making it? And two, can I do better by just staying at home and reviewing another kind of shoe? Just not any random shoe, but another shoe that maybe I didn't have time to get around to. There's so many in the year. I've reviewed like about 60 shoes last year, but I probably tested closer to like 75. And I don't review all of them just because I kind of run out of time, or run out of the ability to test them properly. What if I eliminated some of these subcategories of videos and just did more shoe reviews instead? So I'm always looking at like the median views and the median revenue of 255, not because I care that much about the money, but it just gives me a sense of like, what do you guys care about? What does YouTube care about me making? So for the Runners Weekend, the views are definitely low, but the revenue is high. So I feel like lower views, but higher watch time, and maybe higher revenue per view for that type of content. So that tells me I should keep making those. The training series is pretty close, 255 for a review versus 243 for a training series video. I feel like I can keep making those because I like them. And I think I'm still relatively new at making those. So I think I can keep honing that product and make it better. Races are a little bit lower, but I really like making them. So I'll just keep still making those. Race coverage, again, these numbers are really skewed because that Chicago number is so high and the USATF Half Marathon Championship is so low. But I think that based on what I saw from the USATF Half Marathon Championships in Atlanta, that yeah, I don't really need to keep making those kinds of videos, even though that number is high. And then the editorial, that number is very low, and by all accounts, I should stop making it, but I like it, and it's still a very new product. I've only done it once before. So that's the way that I've been looking at the data for 2025. Maybe I am letting the data help me make decisions towards 2026, or maybe I'm disregarding it and just making what decisions my gut wants me to make anyway. I guess it's I think it's a little bit of both. If you have any other questions about any of the data that I've showed you or data that I haven't showed you as far as what YouTube analytics can provide, feel free to put them in the comments down below, or better yet, stop by the live stream I do Mondays and Thursdays over on the Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'd love to see you guys over there in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of this very long video. Hope you guys are staying safe out there on your runs or whatever it is that you are out there doing on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next one.